We are going to make some Easter cards and an Easter poster for home decoration. So I've got these templates up on my website and also on Etsy, so you can go and check these out if you'd like. So these are the templates I've got. You can print these directly on the cardstock and also use these guidelines to fold and to cut in here. What I have done is I already had some cardstocks cut out in these smaller sizes, so I have traced these images out. For tracing out the images, what I have done is I have used a pencil to make these colors at the back side, and I've taped it across with a washi tape so that it doesn't budge, and then I'm using a pen to trace these out. Alternately, you can also directly print them on a cardstock paper like this and you can get it colored. Let's start with the first set of cards then. The first one is this chicken card. It looks really cute and nice. I'm pretty sure these make really good artwork for kids to paint along. I have traced these onto the cardstock. My cardstock is, I think, 5 inches to 4.25 inches, and I'm going to use a watercolor set. This is from the brand Art Philosophy, and I'm going to use 2 brushes. One of them is size 4 and the other is size 6. Let's get it painted. I'm going to use a really bright color for the chicken, so I'm going in with a bright orange. I'll paint the wings at the moment and then go ahead with the rest of the painting once this is dry. So I think I'll choose probably a bright yellow for it. I'm going to pick it directly from the palette for now. I'm going to pick the blue shade now and using really small strokes going in with the blue color here. The yellow is not dry yet, so I guess I'll do that later, or else I'm going to mix them both. So for the time being, I'll add in the blue for all my hearts and then go for painting the leaves. Once all of these are dry, then it would be perfect for me to go inside and paint the rest. Okay, I'll use the blue in here. Alright, so I'll go in with the greens and the leaves at the moment so that the rest are not disturbed. I love painting the leaves because they're pretty easy to go in. It's just, you know, small loose strokes and they look really pretty as well. I love this green shade. It's very vibrant and nice. It's an emerald sort of a green and I love the shade. You can always use a sketch pen or crayons to color these as well. I just love watercolors and I've got quite a lot of watercolors, so I enjoy painting the tiniest details with watercolors. It gives a really different texture. You can go ahead with any shades, any kind of medium that you like. I missed out painting a heart here, so I might have to come back with another shade and paint this heart here. Alright, it's time for me to get in with the blue. Right, so using the very thin tip of the brush and going around to fill in the blue in all the empty spaces here. Alright, going to define the tail with yellow. Happy with that. And now the rest, probably blue in here. What is left for me is the beak and the eyes and the feet. But I guess I want to fill in a little bit of dots and, you know, sprinkles around just to make it a little bit more colorful. So I'm taking this opportunity and adding in small dots in all the shades that we've already used. So that's going to be yellow and then some reds and blues. I'm going to scatter it all across. But remember, this is an Easter egg and your scatter should be somewhat within the Easter egg shape. So try to limit them within the shape. You can have them in all sizes, small and big. Happy with the yellow. Going in with some red now. I also like to add some of them at the edges so that it kind of defines the egg shape. So I've got some gaps here which I can fill. These are not in the actual template outline, but you know, just leave your imagination go wild and come up with pretty ideas. Okay, maybe time to add some blues now. I think it does really look nice. Now time for us to add in the last detail, which is the beak and the feet. I'm simply just going to use a black pen to do that. I'm going to add the eyes and the beak and of course the feet. I'd also like to add some detail on the body, so these are going to be like, you know, the feathers or whatever that is. Just adding in some dots. This is there in the original template, but since I traced it out, kind of missed out on that. Yeah. And now I'll add in the message that is Happy Easter. That's it with our first card, and I'm just so happy with how colorful it looks. It's so spring appropriate and also a very nice Easter wish. Let's move on to the next one. The next one is a very similar Easter egg, but it's got a lot more leaves than berries. So I think I'll paint them with different shades of greens. I'm going to use this palette for my greens. It's got a variety of greens. And just like the earlier version of Easter egg card that we just painted, you're going to have a similar lookout for how to paint this one. I've got the trace here which looks a little bit invisible, but it's there in the background and I can see it from closer. I'm not really be careful about how my leaves are going to be because I plan to give an outline with a pen later on. So I'm just going in with very careless strokes at the moment. But if you are printing out an outline, I'd guess you would want it to stay within the outlines. So once the light shade is done, I'm just adding a little bit pop of darker shades. For the next leaf, I'm going to have a little darker shade. Alright. Switching to a slightly, probably darker shade again. Quickly using just straight strokes up and down to finish the leaves. And since I'm using a smaller brush, it's making it easier for me to do that as well. These are the edges of the eggs, so you know, I've got just half leaves and not the full twigs. These are just to define that there are edges here. If you don't have twigs here, it won't resemble an Easter egg shape. I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out to be. Once the leaves are done with, we will go in to paint the cherries. I love adding in those dots of reds in between. They look really pretty. I'm going to pick up the reds and adding in the cherries in here. So I've got few cherries marked already in the template and I'm going in to mark them. And I've got several of gaps in here which I'm going to fill in with smaller cherries. So I'm going to keep adding smaller dots everywhere. It just looks nice, doesn't it, with all those greens around, a little bit of pop of red. I'm also trying to now distribute them evenly all across the egg. Wherever I find gaps, I'm going to add in the reds. Go with smaller dots in between. I think they look okay now. Next I need to add the twigs, so I'll go in with a little dark shade of green mixed with a tad bit of brown, and I'll go in and add the twigs. I'm also adding some details at the center, doing the same for all the twigs now. Done with the twigs. Now we need to add a tiny little bit of leaves for the cherries we've got, so just adding small cutesy leaves around the cherries, and I'm doing that in a slightly different shade of green just to add a little pop of interest. At some point I'm just going with V shapes because I don't have enough space to paint out good leaves. I'm just going with some V shapes. Yeah, I'm happy with how it looks at the moment. What is left is the Easter wishes, which I guess I'm going to do in red and in watercolors. So I'm taking the very same brush and then going about really slowly. And that's how it looks, the second Easter egg. We'll go in and paint a poster right now. We'll go in to paint this poster. This exact same image is available as posters and also as cards. So you could download the entire pack, decide in which format you want to paint them, and decide. You can download the entire package from Etsy. The link will be in the description box below. It'll have a set for cards and a set for posters. Whichever format you want to start coloring in, print them off and then get started with the painting. Alright, so since we did the red color combination already, I'm leaning more towards a really light parrot green and pink. I'm going to paint the flowers first. It's going with really good pigment. It's already got the black outline, so I don't need to do much of work. I'll drop in some shades at the center so that it just spreads and gives a really nice texture. I'm going to do the same for all the flowers all together, very same way. The flowers are done and it's time for us to go to the leaves. Picking up a really nice green shade for this. I think it looks like a really good combination of color. Maybe it needs a slight bit of green. It's more on the yellowish side, so I'm adding in a little bit of green, and yeah, now it looks perfect. Yeah, I enjoy drawing and painting, so these come very naturally to me when I sit down and I start painting something. So this is the ideal example of that. This is exactly why I have made these templates, so that you just simply need to download them and then print them out, start painting at your own pace. You don't really need to worry about, oh no, I don't know any painting. It's just filling in through the gaps. And as you can see, I'm making a huge mess out of it. Alright, so much of my painting is going outside of the lines, but that's alright. You've got a really nice outline and you're using really good colors. That's what matters. It doesn't really matter if some of them are outside of the outlines. It still looks pretty. This is really the simplest way of painting this, and you can dress it up or dress it down depending upon your skill. So I'd like to show you how you can take this to the next level. So we've had one layer of painting, just the colors that we've chosen. You can add that extra dimension by simply just doing this next step. So I've taken a little of a darker shade, not mixing much of water here. I'm going to align my strokes in the same direction as the petals. Alright, I'll do that for all the flowers first. Don't worry if it looks really bright, it's going to all dry down, and as it dries down it's going to look really lighter than how it looks at the moment. Right, so small strokes, but then going in from outside to inside. So these are upside down, so I'd go in my hands in this position. Now we have a petal which is at the background, so that is this petal. I'm going to color it a little brighter because it's somewhere in the background. Just adding in a little bit more of pigment only to that petal. Paper is not really a good one, so it's starting to warp with the amount of layers I'm doing, but that's okay, it will dry down flat, so that shouldn't be a problem. It looks different, doesn't it? Better than the plain flower. We're going to do the exact same thing for the leaves as well. So wiping my brush and mixing in the very same green, but right now I'm going to add a little bit more of that darker green than how much we used. And now I'll go in and add the very same technique as we did for the flowers. So starting halfway through, adding a stripe of that darker green. So move along the shape of the leaf. If it's tilted, do it that tilted curvier way. If it's a smaller petal, just use the tip of the brush. If it's a wider petal, lay it flat as you can. That's it. It looks really pretty. I love this so much. I did not expect this pretty stuff when I imagined this Easter egg, but this color combination is making it look so really pretty. I love this. We should really be moving on to the next one right now, and I think I'm going to pick up purple and a little brighter green for that combination. Let's see how it goes. We are into the last painting for today, and this is yet another Easter egg template that I've got both as a poster format and also as a card format. I printed them out and I have taken a carbon copy of it because I don't want that black outline to be there on my paper. I'd like it to have a watercolor effect in total. So I'm not sure if you can see the outline clearly or not, but I'm going to paint them using a smaller brush and a bigger brush as well. So the flowers are larger and I'm going to use a purple shade. Start with the flowers first. I'm going to give it a really big wash of purple, and then I'll go into details just like we did earlier. A round brush really helps in controlling the shape of the petals. So I want to have curved shaped petals, and a round brush really helps me with the movement around. As you can see, some of the flowers are larger and some of them are smaller. So I'm just going in with the flow and picking up the shape as I find them. So we'll let the flowers dry, and in the meantime we'll go in with the leaves. I like the shade, it's so vibrant and nice, isn't it? It goes really well with the purple, I believe. I've used this combination earlier and I really loved it so much. So I'm going in back with a combination that never fails me. You can, if you want, directly print it on the paper, but just that you'll have this black outline. If you don't wish to have them, you can follow this trick. Just use a carbon paper or something of that sort to get a really light outline and then color it the way you want. Looks lovely, doesn't it? I'm going to do the very same for all the flowers and leaves. So I'm going to speed up this video and then show you exactly how it looks after the first layer is done. I'm going to add in a bit of details. It's going to be more of the darker shades sitting in here at the center. And yeah, I'm going to do that for all of these flowers. So going in with a different wash again. Going to add a little bit more details on my leaves. So taking the same green but more of pigments and going in with a double wash, but not entirely, just through the center of the leaves like this. I'm going to do that for all the leaves, starting from top to bottom so that I don't smudge the leaves while I rest my hands. The leaves are done and now it looks fantastic. It just looks like you've added a lot more details, like a leaf within a leaf, but it's just a simple extra layer of lines, but it looks really nice. Okay, so as we did with the leaves, I'm just going to add a bit of detail to the stem. So going in with really light hand and a darker shade. Going to add the stem wherever the stem looks a tad bit thin and not really dark. Yeah, and I need a little bit more details in here. I also have some berries going on. Since I've chosen a really cool palette of shades, I think I'm going to have blueberries instead of the original cherries that I planned for. Blues go really well with purples. So I'm going to add blueberries right now. The blues are very nice. The blues are really complementing the shades that we already have here. I can see that there was a possibility of having some berries here, but the original template doesn't have. I don't know why I didn't bother making one here. There's enough gap and it looks nice. Some berries over here and another set here. I think they look pretty much okay. But since I always want to go above and beyond the actual template, I'm going to add a bit of smaller blue dots here and there. I'm making sure that I'm not going beyond the shape of the egg. We want to retain that. So I'm just adding dots, small and big, in all the gaps. The blues complement the purples and the green really well, so it doesn't matter where you place it, it's going to go really well. I watered it down to give a different shade of blue. So that's how our painting looks at the end. It really looks nice. With the template on, it's really easy for us to make these paintings. It's just filling in the outlines and adding a second layer if you'd like. If not, it looks pretty as such. And I'm pretty sure that these templates do make a really good Easter craft. So if you've got a term break going on and you want to spend some time with your kids, get them engaged, these are wonderful activity sheets, and you can also display them, so that's a win-win. And before school breaks for term break, if you want to send Easter wishes for your teachers, these cards do make an excellent one as well. They're really cute, pick up very bright shades, and they look really nice. All of these templates, they come in the card format as well as the poster format, and they're all in a single package. You can download them from my Etsy store. The link is in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing so that I can make more such videos for you. Until we see with the next craft, it's bye bye and take care.